Atoms are made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Protons have a positive charge, neutrons have a neutral or zero charge, and electrons have a negative charge. The center of the atom is called the nucleus and is made up of protons and neutrons. Neutrons are not important for what we will be learning in this video. The region around the nucleus is called the electron cloud, where electrons are constantly moving around really fast. The number of protons tells us which element the atom is. Every atom with 3 protons is lithium. Pause this video, look at a periodic table, and find lithium. Do you see the number 3 in its box? This is called the atomic number. If you look at that same location in any element's box, that tells you how many protons that element has in its own nucleus. The overall charge on the whole atom is based on the number of protons compared to the number of electrons. Let's look at them over here so it's easier to see. Each proton has a charge of positive 1. Each electron has a charge of negative 1. They cancel each other out. When an atom has an equal number of protons and electrons, the overall charge is 0, or neutral. When an atom gains or loses electrons, this gives it an overall positive or negative charge. Instead of atoms, these are called ions. Let's watch our lithium atom lose an electron. This will turn it into an ion. There is now 1 more proton compared to the electrons, so the overall charge is positive 1. We can write this as Li plus as a superscript. Let's look at a different element. This element has 9 protons in its nucleus. Pause this video and look at a periodic table. Lithium had a 3 in its box. Which element has the number 9? That element is fluorine with the symbol F located in the upper right-hand corner of the table. Now pause and count the electrons pictured. Does this atom have a neutral charge? Yes, an equal number of protons and electrons makes this a neutral atom of fluorine. Now our fluorine atom is going to gain an electron and become an ion. There is now 1 more electron compared to the proton, so the overall charge is negative 1. We can write this as F minus as a superscript. Let's replay these processes and show how they're connected. Li loses an electron and becomes a positive ion, also called a cation. F gains an electron and becomes a negative ion, also called an anion. Positive and negative charges attract. This attraction is called an ionic bond. The ionic compound formed here is lithium fluoride. The charges, positive 1 on lithium and negative 1 on fluorine, cancel each other out. Ionic compounds are neutral. And ionic bonds are strong, which is why most ionic compounds are solid at room temperature. Liquid and gas particles are not held firmly in place like in solids. A more well-known ionic compound is sodium chloride, which is table salt. Note that not all ionic compounds look like this. They come in a variety of solid structures depending on which elements they are made of. This model of a grain of salt is made up of about 343 sodium and chlorine ions, but atoms and ions are extremely tiny. Here are salt grains magnified at 40 times. An actual single grain of salt is made up of about 1.02 quintillion sodium and chlorine ions. In sodium chloride, there is 1 sodium for every 1 chlorine. Likewise, for lithium fluoride, there is 1 lithium for every 1 fluorine. However, most ionic compounds do not exist in this 1-to-1 ratio. For example, in beryllium fluoride, there are 2 fluorines for every 1 beryllium. In iron oxide, which is rust, there are 2 irons for every 3 oxygens. You will learn more about these ionic compounds in a future lesson. Knowing how different elements combine into compounds is important for predicting and understanding chemical reactions.